Hello world, I'm your host Mr. Stag. Today we're taking you on a journey from the sands of Saudi Arabia to the heart of global energy dominance. Hit like, subscribe and share. Because Saudi Aramco isn't just another oil company. It is the world's most valuable and profitable company, with roots stretching back to the early days of World War II. Imagine a company so powerful that its revenues can eclipse entire nations, and so crucial to the world economy that a single decision it makes can shake global markets. You may not see its logo on storefronts or products, but its fingerprints are everywhere, from the fuel in your car to the plastics in your home. This is the story of Saudi Aramco, a company born from American oil ambitions, nationalized by a desert kingdom, and transformed into the most valuable business on earth. It's a tale of empires, power, and a trillion-dollar pivot into the future of energy. In the grand sweep of history, few commodities have wielded such transformative power. Salt built Venice, sugar fueled the Atlantic slave trade. But oil built empires and destroyed them in equal measure. We'll uncover how a 1933 oil concession set off a global economic revolution, how Saudi ownership reshaped its power, and why Aramco's fate now impacts everything from your fuel prices to Saudi megaprojects. This is the real story of Saudi Aramco. The year was 1933. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia was a fledgling nation in desperate need of revenue. So King Abdulaziz Al Saud struck a deal with Standard Oil of California, now Chevron, granting oil exploration rights in the Arabian Peninsula. In 1938, after years of drilling, they hit black gold in Dammam Well No. 7, the legendary Prosperity Well. It was the first commercial oil strike in the kingdom. This discovery would not only change the destiny of Saudi Arabia, but reshape the global energy map. The Arabian-American oil company, Aramco, was born. Controlled by American firms, by 1950, Aramco's pipeline network stretched across Saudi Arabia to the Mediterranean, and by 1951, it had discovered the mammoth offshore Safaniya field. Aramco didn't just extract oil, it built infrastructure. In 1950, the Trans-Arabian Pipeline, TAP line, cut transport time and costs by shipping 500,000 barrels daily. US, and the decades that followed, the company discovered Gawa, the world's largest onshore oil field, and Safaniya offshore oil majors held the reins until the 1970s, when Riyadh asserted control, completing full nationalization by 1980, and rebranding to Saudi Aramco in 1988 with its first Saudi CEO, Ali Al Naimi. By the 1990s, Aramco had evolved into a vertically integrated energy giant, owning pipelines, refineries, chemical plants, and global distribution channels. Its strategic investments in R&D and international partnerships fortified its position as an indispensable global player. By the 1970s, oil had become Saudi Arabia's most valuable resource, but it was still largely in the hands of American companies. Then came the energy crisis of 1973. OPEC's oil embargo skyrocketed prices, giving oil-producing nations unprecedented leverage. Saudi Arabia began asserting control. In 1973, it bought a 25% stake in Aramco. That grew to 60% in 1974, and by 1980, the company was fully owned by the Saudi government. With full control, Saudi Arabia renamed it Saudi Aramco and transformed it into a national champion. The 1973 oil embargo represents one of history's great reversals of fortune. It was economic warfare conducted not with armies, but with valves and pipelines. What we witnessed in those crucial years was nothing less than the peaceful transfer of one of the world's most valuable assets. With nationalization in 1980 complete and a domestic takeover in 1988, Saudi Arabia used Aramco to fuel Vision 2030, its plan to diversify away from oil. Royal decree transformed it into a state-owned company beholden to national economic objectives. Aramco split its activities into three pillars: upstream, downstream, refining and petrochemicals, and chemicals, streamlining operations and cementing its role as a global energy and innovation powerhouse. To fully grasp Saudi Aramco's global importance, we need to zoom out, way out, into the world of geopolitics and finance. In the early 1970s, after the United States went off the gold standard, global financial markets were thrown into chaos. The US dollar needed a new foundation to maintain its status as the world's reserve currency. Enter Saudi Arabia. Behind closed doors, an extraordinary deal was struck. In exchange for American military protection, the Saudi royal family agreed to price all their oil sales in US dollars, and not just for the United States, but for the entire world. This agreement gave birth to what's now called the Petrodollar system. Nations around the globe had to hold vast reserves of dollars just to buy oil. This flooded global markets with US dollars, strengthening America's financial dominance and giving the Federal Reserve unparalleled influence over global monetary policy. And who was at the very heart of this arrangement? Saudi Aramco, because Saudi Aramco is the world's largest single supplier of crude oil. Without Aramco's production, the entire petrodollar system could wobble. In a sense, Aramco isn't just an energy company. It's one of the pillars of US financial hegemony. This symbiotic relationship between Riyadh and Washington has defined global economics for over 50 years. The story of Saudi Aramco is inseparable from the House of Saud, the ruling royal family of Saudi Arabia. Since the 1930s, the Saudi monarchy has carefully maintained control over the kingdom's most valuable asset, its oil reserves managed by Aramco. The family's stewardship of Aramco reflects their broader strategy to consolidate power and transform Saudi Arabia from a desert kingdom into a modern economic powerhouse. Key members of the royal family have held influential positions overseeing Aramco's operations or its revenues. For example, the Saudi Minister of Energy, often a prince, works closely with Aramco's leadership to align the company's output with the kingdom's political and economic goals. Over time, the royal family increased their ownership stake until the company became fully state-owned in 1980, cementing their direct control. The late King Abdulaziz Al Saud, founder of modern Saudi Arabia, saw oil as the cornerstone for the country's future prosperity, and each successive generation of princes has worked to ensure that Aramco's profits fuel the royal family's vision. Today, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman uses Aramco's vast wealth to push ambitious reforms under Vision 2030, aiming to reduce the kingdom's oil dependence while maintaining the royal family's grip on power. The family's influence isn't just financial. It's also deeply political and cultural, with Aramco's success tied to the stability and legitimacy of the Saudi monarchy itself. The royal family's legacy and survival are intertwined with the fortunes of Aramco, making the company much more than a business. It is a symbol of Saudi Arabia's identity and ruling dynasty. Today, Saudi Aramco is more than just a national oil company. It's a global energy behemoth. It produces over 12 million barrels of oil per day, owns refineries, pipelines, and shipping fleets across continents, and is the engine of the Saudi economy. As of 2023, it employs over 70,000 people worldwide. It's not just in oil. It trades natural gas, chemicals, refined fuels, and is investing in renewables and hydrogen technologies. Aramco also owns stakes in international ventures, including Motiva in the US and Sinopec in China, solidifying its global footprint. To comprehend Aramco's scale, consider this. It produces more oil in a single day than most nations consume in a month. This is not merely a company, it is an economic force of nature. The transformation from a regional oil producer to a global energy empire mirrors the great trading companies of history. Aramco has transcended its original mandate to become a quasi-sovereign entity. When Saudi Aramco finally went public in 2019, it wasn't a traditional Wall Street event. Most of the shares were listed locally on the Saudi Stock Exchange, Tadawul, and foreign investors only got a sliver. It launched the largest IPO ever, raising $25.6 billion by selling just 1.5% of the company. That IPO valued Aramco at a staggering $1.7 trillion, making it the most valuable company on the planet. Since then, its valuation has hovered between $1.80 and $2.5 trillion, depending on oil prices and market dynamics. Why does valuation swing so dramatically? Because Aramco's fortunes rise and fall with the price of oil. In 2022, Aramco posted $161 billion in net income, the highest annual profit ever by a publicly listed company. The 2019 IPO was more than a financial event. It was a geopolitical statement. By offering shares to global investors, Saudi Arabia was essentially saying, "We are confident enough in our future to share it with the world." Yet the IPO also revealed the fundamental tension at the heart of modern Saudi Arabia. On one hand, the kingdom seeks to modernize, to integrate with global capital markets. On the other hand, it remains utterly dependent on a single commodity. What makes Aramco unique is the sheer scale of these swings and their global implications. In 2024, Aramco reported net income of $106 billion, down 12% from 2023 due to lower oil prices, but still among the world's most profitable companies. Its annual revenue hovered around $480 billion, with quarterly profits around $26 billion. Its net assets exceed $1 trillion, with a staggering $460 billion balance sheet strength. Aramco's profitability supports mega projects like Vision 2030, the NEOM Saudi City, and preparations for the 2034 FIFA World Cup, while still delivering an $85 billion dividend to the Saudi government. Today, about 94% of Aramco is still owned by the Saudi government, primarily through its sovereign wealth fund, the Public Investment Fund, PIF. Since then, the PIF has used Aramco's massive cash flows to invest aggressively in everything from Lucid Motors, electric cars, to SoftBank's Vision Fund, to gaming, sports, and even futuristic cities. In 2024, Saudi Aramco announced plans to sell another small stake, around 0.5% to 1%, to raise billions more. But here's the thing. Foreign ownership is still limited, with most buyers being regional investment funds, wealthy Gulf nationals, and a few large international institutional investors. Why keep it this way? Because Aramco's oil revenues are the lifeblood of Saudi Arabia's economy. The Saudis will sell just enough shares to fund their future vision, but never enough to risk losing control. Aramco isn't just an oil company, it's a geopolitical weapon. It funds over 80% of Saudi Arabia's national budget, fuels the monarchy's massive infrastructure projects, and underpins the kingdom's Vision 2030 initiative to diversify the economy. The company is at the center of OPEC Plus policy, helping manage global oil supply in coordination with Russia and other major producers. It's often been used as a diplomatic lever, responding to US requests or asserting Saudi independence. Despite its dominance, Aramco isn't immune to global headwinds. OPEC Plus supply shifts and raw economics caused profits to fall in 2024, driving down oil prices to around $70/barrel. The revenue dip forced a 30% dividend cut, a shock to national fiscal projections. Despite its oil dominance, Aramco is preparing for a post-oil future. It has announced plans to invest billions in hydrogen, carbon capture, solar and renewables. However, critics argue that these efforts are more about optics than impact. In 2023, fossil fuels still made up the overwhelming majority of Aramco's revenue. Still, Aramco continues to explore partnerships and technology that may position it for a long-term role in energy transition without giving up its dominant hold on oil. Looking ahead, Aramco is planning expansions in petrochemicals, low-carbon hydrogen, and carbon capture. These tie into state priorities and global energy transitions. They can also ramp production quickly. Amin Nasser, CEO since 2015, said adding 3 million barrels a day equates to $36 billion in revenue each year, reinforcing Aramco's unique swing producer role. From a single flaring well in 1938, Saudi Aramco began its journey in the heart of the desert. Today, it commands hundreds of billions in revenue and global influence, an engine powering a nation and shaping the world. Its reach stretches from the sands of Saudi Arabia to every corner of the global energy market. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this origin story, like, comment and subscribe to Stag Research, your go-to channel for business deep dives and founder legacies. Got a hot take on Aramco's future? Drop it in the comments below. Mr. Stag, logging off.